everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today I want to discuss a movement that is occurring between the gays and the queers. The LGBs have decided they no longer want to be associated with the TQs, and in my opinion, for good reason. And so now they've started their own organization. So we're going to react today by the short that was uploaded by LGB Alliance USA. This is the international video. I haven't found one posted specifically by the US group, but they reposted this one on their site, so we're gonna react to it. So if you're all about those raw, honest reactions, you found the right place. I'm Indigo Moon, and here we dive into everything from the latest reaction videos and social commentary to breaking news events and so much more. You never know what's coming next. Just know it's going to be real, fun, and full of surprises. Make sure to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to our channel if you enjoy this type of content. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. All right, guys, so we're going to react to this video posted by the LGB Alliance USA, and I will put the link of the video in the description.
Declaramos independência LGB porque tudo bem meninos gostarem de bonecas e meninas odiarem vestidos.
We are declaring our independence because we're tired of people who aren't lesbian, gay, or bisexual speaking for us in our name.
Okay, I just want to take a second here because what he has to say is so powerful to me. Because for the last decade, it has been the T's and the Q's that have been speaking for the LGBs. And listen, a little back history on myself. I grew up in a family where my dad was an independent. My mother is a JFK Democrat. So I always grew up in kind of a more liberal home, right? My mother is Catholic. She only became super religious after my father passed away. So mostly growing up, she had always emphasized that all people should be treated equally, no matter their race and especially their sexual orientation. And I've said this in other videos, but I do have family members that identify with pretty much all the letters. And I love them all equally and the same. They are my family, they are my friends. They're also normal people, not going around screaming all this leftist ideology. And so as I became an adult, I was very much a Democrat liberal. I voted for John Kerry. I was absolutely devastated when he didn't win. And one of the issues that I was very passionate about was LGB rights. I never thought it was fair that just because people were gay that they couldn't get married. And myself growing up in a somewhat religious home and then pushing away from that, it was like I was more adamant in wanting to help the gays who didn't have a voice to be a voice with them. And then all this trans stuff started happening, right? And it was right around the time I had just become a mother, and my mother-in-law had always been conservative, and she was full Donald Trump. And of course, me, like the majority of people, thought he was being a joke, right? Like, what is this Hollywood guy gonna do? But I gave it a chance after he won. I didn't vote for him the first time. But in his first term, I had seen in my own life, based on those policies, my life getting better. And I became more interested in what the conservatives had to say. And in this time, 2015, 2016 is when they really started pushing all this trans shit on us. It was all over the TV. Bruce Jenner had just become whatever he is now. And it was just constantly in our faces. You couldn't get away from it. It was on ABC. Family had some special about 2 trans parents. I mean, it was everywhere. You guys remember, we watched an episode of like one of the SCIs. My mother-in-law was like super into those shows. And there was a trans thing there, and she was so frustrated, and she turned off the TV, and she's like, well, I guess I can't just watch television anymore in peace because I'm gonna have all this trans shit in my face. And I understood where she was coming from, because originally, when I was in the original LGB movement, the whole point was that everybody wanted to be treated the same. They wanted the same rights. They wanted to be able to live the same boring life we all live, go to work, have a job, buy a home, have kids, get married, the whole thing, right? I saw nothing wrong with that because I had met so many people in my time in activism that were such good people, and they just wanted to be treated fairly. They didn't want to be scared having to go to their car at night because some dudes are going to attack them because they're gay. A lot of us still remember those times of openly hating and committing violence against gay people. And I absolutely feel that no one should ever live in that kind of fear because of who they are. Which, funny enough, I think a lot of conservatives are feeling like that right now. The gays got their rights, everyone was happy, and then the T's snuck into their movement. Because really, not that the movement was done, because yeah, even though there was rights given here in the US, there's plenty of places all around the world where gays don't have rights. And just being gay, they would kill you for it, right? Their movement still had steam. I think lost a lot of it because of how successful they were here in the US, right? And I think it was more of a US movement in that time than an international movement. I think it became more of an international movement later. But then the T snuck in, and they're not even the same. It's like L, G, and B all have to do with sexual orientation. T has nothing to do with sexual orientation. You can be trans and be straight. And they snuck in because alone they were not enough to start a movement. But the gays had become a big enough movement, and there was a lot of straight people supporting that movement, so they snuck in and then completely took it over. The other issue becomes the trans don't want to be treated the same. They want to be treated better, and that's the problem everyone is having, including the LGBs, because even in their own community, there's been so much contention, not from the very beginning, but in the last few years, with trans men telling lesbians that they are homophobic if they don't date them. They're men. Yes, they're trans, but they still have all the boy parts. The lesbians don't like any of the boy parts. And then inserting themselves into women's spaces and women's bathrooms, it's like, so women have no safe space now. The weirdo men have come and taken it over. The people you don't want to share the bathroom with as a woman. So I just feel really passionate about what he has to say about that, because it's true. Their movement has been completely taken over. And then a few years later, the Qs come in. Oh, what does that mean? Oh, if you're just a weirdo, you can be a queer. You don't have to be anything. You can just say you're queer. Okay, so your organization of LGBs, the T's and the Qs, are mostly straight. Yeah, I get it. They are not in the same category. They never should have been in the same category. And it was real sneaky snake of the T's to come in and swoop in on their already growing movement. Like, think about in school, all of you guys came together to work on this project, and you've been working on it for weeks, and it's almost ready to do presentation. And then teacher sneaks in other kid last minute, like, oh, hey, for whatever reason, little Johnny hasn't been here, so he's gonna get put into your group. Johnny hasn't done any of the work, and in fact, when he gets into the group, he doesn't want to do any of the work. He doesn't even care to. In fact, he wants little Mary to go grab her lunch out of her lunchbox and give it to him because he's little Johnny, and because he says so, she has to do that. Oh, and he's not going to help in anything in the assignment but get the full credit and grade for it. This is exactly what is happening in this movement. The LGBs put decades into this movement, a couple of decades into this movement, and then they have like a big successful turnout with getting the marriage rights. And then these sneaky ass T's came in like, oh, hey, you know, where we need some help too, you know, the people are being mean to us too, you know, like we're different, you guys are different, we're different, so let's group up, right? And then just snuck in and stole the whole thing, completely took it over, added in all their own ideologies, told the original LGBs that they were just gonna have to put up with it, or that they were an ism of some sort. They've always been the ones that have been ismed. You see what I mean? They're not the ismers, they've been the ismies. And now they're being told they're the ismers by these quote-unquote ismies, who are really ismers in disguise. I'm sorry I went on that little rant. I hope that makes sense to somebody out there what I'm trying to say. Then once the T's came in and just completely took it over, right? Then the T's told the Q's, yo, why don't you come on in? You're weird like us too, right? We're kind of more the same kind of weird than what the original three were. So let's just like really gang up together on the first three. And that is how their movement got taken over, in my opinion.
Vi bryter oss loss för att homo- och bisexuella har olika åsikter, men HBTQI är ett åsiktspaket.
女同性恋和男同性恋逐渐失去立足之地，因此我们在此宣告 LGB 正式独立。
Обявяваме независимост на ЛГБ общността, защото еднополовите връзки се нуждаят от правен статут навсякъде.
Declaramos la independencia LGB porque los derechos que tanto nos ha costado conseguir están siendo amenazados por la identidad de género.
And see, this is what I'm talking about, how their movement still has things that need to be done, because in a lot of countries around the world, it's still illegal to be gay and the punishment can be death. So there's still a lot of work for the LGBs out there. And the T's and the Q's just coming in and completely just taking over their movement and enforcing their crazy socialist ideologies. They don't want to be any part of it. They felt forced into it. And then it just got so out of control to where we're at today that they've had to separate themselves.
The LGB is declaring independence because being a feminine man doesn't make you a female.
Parce que les espaces lesbiens accueillent désormais des hommes.
We're declaring LGB independence because we've had enough of pronouns.
Porque homens não podem ser lésbicas.
Porque los derechos de los homosexuales no están en contra de los derechos de las mujeres.
Omdat wij graag gendernorms slopen, niet onze lichamen.
See, and this was another point that I brought up about the bathrooms. It's like women are having all their spaces taken away from them, all their safe spaces. And it's not just straight women, it's lesbian women too, because we're all women in the end. Like the one guy was saying, denying biology. We already know there's only two genders, and forcing this wackadoo ideology on everybody isn't working. It's not. People are pushing back. And even the gays are pushing back because they're so fed up with it, because they agree that this is all nonsense too. They just been hijacked. That's really what the word is I was looking for earlier. Their movement have been hijacked by these terrorist trans queer weirdos. It is affecting not just their movement, but it affects all of us, especially women losing their spaces like their bathrooms and changing rooms.
Dichiariamo l'indipendenza LGB perché ci siamo stufati.
Vi løsriver oss fordi jenter skal kunne bryte med stereotypiske kjønnsroller uten å tro at de må endre på kroppene sine.
Nous déclarons notre indépendance lesbienne, gay et bisexuelle parce que dans 64 pays du monde, l'homosexualité masculine reste encore pénalisée par la loi.
Vi lýsum yfir sjálfstæði því að það engin kynsegin.
Because wealthy legacy LGBTQ+ organizations have betrayed the same-sex attracted population.
See, even the gays don't agree that children should have their body parts mutilated and then put back together in weird places like their Picasso paintings. They have just been roped into this ideology and forced almost like hostages to take the side of this trans ideology. And so deep within it is just so sickening. When you really think about, they tried to pose it as, oh, we're trying to save the gay kids. We're trying to save the little gay kids. Okay, if they're getting bullied and picked on in school for being gay, you think them going through a middle of a transition in elementary school is going to make it any better? Oh, because they feel like there's something. That's a whole new thing now, where feeling has become fact. And fact is only feelings, not based on any logic or reasoning or facts, just feelings. And it's just gone out of control, just like the pronoun things that they were talking about. In their community, it is so bad. I mean, they really try to push it on normal society, and normal society pushed hard on that real quick. Society put their foot down on that one so quick and was like, we are not doing that. But you will see a lot in high schools all around the country when kids introduce themselves now. They introduce themselves by their name and their pronouns. And then you see it prevalently in the LGBTQ community. They will call you a homophobic, some kind of ism if you don't go along with their whole pronoun announcements. Oh, and God forbid you say the wrong pronoun on accident. Now you're every ism to them. That's the thing. It's just there's no leeway, no learning curve. It's just forced upon everybody. And if you don't get it right the first time, then they have every right to be violent towards you and your family. It's just absolutely absurd. It's like they like to call conservatives fascists and Nazis, and yet I haven't seen a conservative person do one thing that was fascist or Nazi in their ideology. But I sure see a lot of that in the trans community. If you really look through word for word what they stand for, you think twice about supporting their movement. And I completely am with the gays that they need to get out of this, and they should have gotten out of this much sooner.
Rydym yn datgan annibyniaeth LGB I amddiffyn ein gwagleoedd a diogelu ein hawliau.
For de børn og unge, der ikke passer ind I den kønsstereotype opfattelse af mænd og kvinder, de fejler ikke noget.
We are going global. Why? Because gay teens aren't sick anywhere around the world. Welcome, LGB International.
Last lady said is so powerful, and I'm glad that they clipped it like that to save hers to the end, because it is true. There's nothing wrong with kids the way they are. And I agree about the gender stereotypes of kids in the sense that if a little boy wants to play with a Barbie doll, if a little girl's favorite color is blue, what does it matter? They're kids. They're exploring the world around them. They're learning things. But then in our antiquated days, we would look at those children and say, oh, there's something wrong with them. They're going to be gay, and then just push our gender stereotypes. A girl has to be pink and the boy can only play with Legos, right? And then the pendulums just swung so hard where it's like now, 10, 15 years later, those same kids, they would be like, oh my God, they're trans. We need to do all these surgeries and change them to the gender that they identify and this and that. And they're 4 or 5-year-old kids. They don't know. Just like they didn't know 30 years ago. They don't know now. They're still just exploring the world. Just give them the peace and the freedom to do that. Let's swing the pendulum to the middle, guys. Just let kids be kids and explore the world and laugh at your son if he puts on his little sister's dress, right? Or encourage your daughter to play with Legos because maybe she has a great engineering brain, and playing with Legos is going to open up that scope for her and those mental pathways. And I want to make a point here too. I find it very interesting that if you look through the clips, I would say the majority of people in the clips were 30 and up. And I think that speaks a lot to the division within their own movement. I call them the older gays, the normal gays. The people that originally came into the movement because they just wanted to be treated the same as everybody else in normal society. And then when the T's and the Q's came in and hijacked their movement and forced upon them their crazy ideologies, it's like they lost all of that, and the newer generation of now adults and teens coming in have been radicalized by the current LGBTQ movement. And you will see them they wholeheartedly are just indoctrinated by it. You have these young 18-year-old, 20-year-old girls screaming for trans rights for bathrooms. And it's like, girl, you're the one that should be like most worried about going into a public space with no security and a strange man coming in right behind you. But they're so brainwashed into it that they don't even see the danger because they're told there is no danger. Everybody who's telling them that there is danger is some kind of isist or ism, and they have nothing to fear, but there's nobody protecting them because what those trans people are doing are hiding behind those loud, wacky, liberal women that most of them, it is coming from a good place. It's coming from the same place it came from when I was 20 years old of wanting to see everybody treated equally. But that's the thing. They don't want to be treated equally. They want to be treated better. And they want the rest of us to conform and basically be their slaves. And that's just not going to happen. You're not a big enough movement of people. That's why you had to hijack the gay movement, because them alone is not enough. And even with the gays, it's still not a lot, but it has definitely caused a lot of, hopefully not irreparable harm, but at least to a decent 2, maybe 3 generations of children. And I want to say here that I will stand with the LGB Alliance. And I'm glad that they have finally separated themselves from the trans lunacy. And I hope that more conservatives will align on their side. Because I get it, they're not going to get the religious people, especially the Christians and the Muslims. That's absolutely not going to happen. And that's not their audience. They understand that. They get it. They are trying to reach out to the greater society and say, hey, we never really wanted to be in this. They kidnapped us. They hijacked our movement. So we finally got free and we started this whole new one. You know, please join us. And it's like, I'm with them. I am, because I do think that they are a victim to the trans wackadoo ideology. And many of them just kind of stood silent like the rest of us did in the 2020s when it came to all this kind of lunacy. Because just like I would say about half the country at the time were confused, and everything that they're being told is that, oh, you know, we need to be supporting these trans people. We need to be transitioning our children. This is for the good of society, the good of our kids. And people are just like, yeah, okay, because we have a huge problem in society that we do not know how to be independent thinking people. Once you put everybody in a group, this is the shit that happens. Look what happened to the LGBTs. Look what happened to the LGBs. Got hijacked by the TQA plus whatever the fuck they call themselves now. So many goddamn letters and keyboard symbols that it's just fucking out of control. Like, just give your name, your movement a fucking name. All right, guys, that's gonna wrap it up for today's reaction. I hope you guys enjoyed watching it as much as I did. If you did, make sure to hit the thumbs up and drop a comment below with your thoughts. What do you think of the video? Do you agree with my reactions, or did I miss something? I'd love to know. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a reaction. Thanks, guys.